Film friends, friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Film Folklore Podcast. I am Jed Props, and I am joined today by Chris A.D.
Hello.
Heather Ray Costumes.
Hi.
And Justin Sound.
Hi.
Well, you know what, Chris? Where's Zoe?
So she joined the circus, and that's it. She's just in the circus now.
Aren't we all in the circus?
I think so, but
It's not a far departure.
Is she crew or talent?
I think both. I think the circus has fallen on some hard times. So she's crew, she's talent, she's the barker, she's the chef, she's the elephant trainer, and the
there
lion.
aren't elephants anymore.
There's not elephants anymore.
Well, she is
so
the elephant.
Oh.
She's also the lion tamer and trainer. I don't really know what the difference is, but so she's there.
One requires a
and
degree.
tame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's a degree, one you just learn on the job. It's fine.
I think all you need is a
Self-taught.
whip and a chair, apparently. But
Top hat.
I don't
you
know.
need a top hat.
You need a top hat?
Yeah.
It's
There you go.
required.
All right.
You need that tux bib.
As a costume
tux,
person, I
yeah,
know
that's
this.
right.
And so you have
Tails.
to rely
Right.
on my knowledge.
Yeah.
My deep, deep knowledge.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so we are back for our two-parter of Titanic, and we got a lot to cover here, so we're going to just jump right in because I know y'all have been waiting with bated breath. Sorry to keep y'all waiting. So let's see. A little quick recap. We left off discussing Kate Winslet's thoughts reflecting back on the making of Titanic. We talked about how she got injured and almost died a few times. How James the Midge Cameron is an asshole to crew, and now you're about to see there's so much more. So let's dive right in. Oh, the puns are back. Continuing with Kate. Kate Winslet can't help herself in being nice. She downplayed some of the events that happened to her on the shoot, including suffering from apparently hypothermia, according to some accounts, and almost drowning.
Method acting.
Yes. The problem, except she doesn't drown in the movie. That's a...
Almost drowning.
Touche.
Almost drowning.
The problem with the water in the tank was the sheer volume of it was too much to heat, being that it was 17 million gallons of water. So just the nature of water, it stayed cold by volume. And in a 2017 interview on The Late Show, Winslet revealed to Stephen Colbert that the water was, quote, really fucking cold. And they were spending hours in and out of the water. I wanted to ask you, Heather Ray.
I'm just thinking, as you're saying this, I'm like, oh my God, what a nightmare as a costumer, because it is costumer's job to keep people warm
Yes.
and comfortable. And clearly that would be an impossibility. That sounds awful.
Well,
She was like in like a corset.
Yeah,
the whole
I mean,
time.
like the whole,
too.
like layers
Would that be a
and layers. She was in
wetsuit underneath
she was
that
in a
corset?
Coat. She was. I mean, she would have to have a wetsuit
Yeah.
underneath it. Yeah, for sure, and probably some kind of heating thing that may or may not have existed 30 years ago, 27 years ago, or whatever
So
it is.
I wanted to kind of, for the educational purpose, like in today's filming, what would be the typical protocol for this type of situation?
You would have a wetsuit,
Mm-hmm.
which would, work mildly as well as it would for a diver,
Right.
You would have lots of towels ready. You'd have a tent that was heated, if that was possible. I mean, I don't know what the logistics
that would
were.
be locations technically.
That would be
right, Chris?
locations, yep. But, costumers end up usually being like, hey, this is what we need. And hopefully we get it,
Yeah.
But yeah, like heated tents, or someplace that's warm where they can. But the thing is, like, once you get warm, when you're wet, as soon as you step out of that heat, I mean, this is not a movie thing. This is a human thing. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not giving anybody any information they don't already know from experience, probably. But yeah, I mean, that sounds like a nightmare for the actor and for the costumer.
You just take a ton of hand warmers and you just keep stuffing them down the wetsuit, right?
You know what? I'm not even sure. I'm
Isn't the
not
way a
even sure.
wetsuit works? It like doesn't keep your body dry or anything like that.
No.
It just
keeps your heat
keeps
in.
your heat in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's theoretically the case.
And the
But if you're freezing in there for
Yeah, I
3
mean, it doesn't
hours.
really
Right.
matter.
Yeah, it's not doing much.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds just miserable all around.
And what's funny, we're focusing on Kate Winslet. There's probably about 50 BG people who died in the making
well,
of this movie.
for real, that's one of the things that we were talking about.
For $60 a day.
Right. I cannot even.
But you got a free
yeah.
meal.
That's why he brought him to Mexico.
That's why they're in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So just to go over real quick, the protocol essentially would be costumes is talking with the ADs, right, about can we get tents, heaters and stuff like that. And then Chris, y'all are turning to locations in that situation?
I mean, I end up talking to locations a lot
or
of the
production.
time. I mean, because honestly, this should be something that just happens, but we as costumers, the costume department, know that it's something that's not thought about by anybody but us.
Right.
So we're usually the ones that sort everything out. Like, where is the tent? We need this, we need this, we need, I mean, aside from what we need on our end from our department, like everything else that's needed. And, we have to talk to the ADs and say, we need this much time to do this kind of thing.
Right.
And and it doesn't, sometimes you'll have multiples. I mean, you will always have multiples with things like that. But again, with Kate Winslet in a corset, and all of that. I mean, maybe she did have that jacket on, so maybe they gave her a little leeway with that corset, but probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, the costumes, I will say the costumes in this movie were fantastic. I love this period
As well they should
anyway.
be.
I mean, yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so the accuracy was probably pretty important, even if she was freezing on a door that had room for at least one more person on it.
Don't worry. We'll get into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Very big door.
Someone would say it's a queen-size door.
It is a queen-size door.
I was curious because a lot of times I feel like when we're unsure, we go straight to production only to find out that they're an unnecessary middleman and you end up circling back to someone else on set.
Yeah.
So just curious.
I don't bother even talking to producers or anything about that.
It's for the best.
That's, I mean, yeah.
If you need to know about posturing, they're great people to talk to. Chris has a lot of questions for him. We're going to get there one day.
I know.
I can't wait for that too. I'm
trying to wrangle a producer for us. Yeah.
15 years on the job. I have no idea what those fucking people do.
I think not to get us too far off the track.
Don't get me started.
I was thinking about that because you mentioned that before, and recently something I had worked on, I had a little light bulb moment where I'm like, I think part of the problem of the confusion is because they all come in so many shapes and sizes, and some are more useful than others, and the lines are not always defined, or they can change company to company. So it just further confuses things, and then you really don't know. I just got told by a producer, for example, the only American producer on it. Everyone else was Russian. But I said, when we get to wrap, do you want me to be wrapping out props for this, or you're going to take things from the show? And then the guy said, well, you provided some of your own stuff, didn't you? And I said, yeah. And I said, y'all rented some things. And he goes, well, what are you doing with those? And I said, well, I'm going to take them. I mean, I'm documenting them and everything, but I'm taking them back.
They are rentals.
Unless you want to buy them. And then he goes, why would I want to buy something that you got for free? Oh. And I was like, wow.
You really don't know what's going on, do you?
I just kind of politely, I was like, well, I guess you don't really know what I got for free and what I didn't. So there's that. But okay, noted. I'll just keep everything. And that was kind of like the end of it. But it was such a rude comment, but also just that kind of thing of like, you know what you're paying for it? You're paying for me to store all this crap. So that for the random day that you ask for like a key that looks like it's a house key from 1985, I have the dumbass thing. That's what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. So, just anyway. But it's
that
also.
That being said, there are some producers.
There's
that I've
great
worked with
producers
that are fantastic. I do want to give a shout out to Casey Silver, who is with Paramount for a very long time.
What's up, Casey Silver?
Yeah, I mean that guy. I regret not saying to him, please tell me what you do, how you do it, because I want to do.
Open a producer school, please.
For real. I mean, that was a guy who really understood that you needed so little.
Yeah.
You need to give so little to get so much back. 'Cause
Well, like the guy I'm talking about, I mean, also a comment like that ironically kind of shows your colors too, because
Correct.
you're showing your own inexperience and everything to even be making the comment.
I have these
ironically.
conversations with producers all the
Which is amazing.
time.
How I would know that because I'm a dum-dum.
Well,
Because I'm a crewman.
yeah.
I ain't too good with numbers.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get into some numbers games.
1, 2, 11. We got all of them.
All the numbers.
I missed my 11th birthday. So getting back to our favorite Kate Winslet here. So she also almost drowned on the show, and it was not out in the final scenes before Jack died, but it was actually on the ship when the water was gushing in. Chris, do you see a little thing there?
I do. When Jack and Rose are running through the ship as the water is rushing in, they're looking for an escape route, but they get trapped in by the gate, the closing gate. This was all supposed to happen. Once the scene was cut, the crew opened the gate to allow DiCaprio and Winslet through. However, her coat got caught on the iron bars, and she was submerged in the water. She describes the experience in the LA Times. I had no breath left. I thought I'd burst. And Jim just said, okay, let's go again. That was his attitude. I didn't want to be a wimp, so I didn't complain. Jim Cameron was apparently oblivious to all of this. And while getting upset as to why are we not going again yet, he realized a few minutes later that Winslet was feeling shaken by the experience. He then compared it to getting back on the horse after a fall.
Wow.
Exactly what you want to hear when you're gasping for air.
I wonder, because this was her breakout role, I wonder if she were put in this position now,
She'd
if
say,
she would be so congenial about the whole thing.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
I would be really curious. It's like,
I mean, I would hope not,
Yeah.
honestly,
She
for her
was-
own sake.
She was
she
was very, very young. And yeah, I mean, this was the first.
she was in other things, but,
Yeah.
but this was her big breakout
Yeah.
role, I believe.
I think so. I think she was-
yes. Yeah.
She became a household name
Yes.
after this, for sure.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to mention regarding Kate Winslet was that she is the reason this movie plays out the way it did. She was not the first choice for the gig. Other actresses of the time, Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, for example, were in serious consideration for the part. Kate read the script and fell in love with the character. She campaigned hard with Cameron and her agent to get the role. Winslet knew that Leonardo DiCaprio was up for the part of Jack, and she sought him out and convinced him to do the project with her, which worked out perfect for everyone since Leo was on the fence about it himself. And her persistence paid off, and the rest is history. Kate Winslet would go on to receive an Oscar nomination for her role as Rose DeWitt Bucketer. I never knew how to say that.
I don't think we ever hear it, do we?
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
sure
movie?
you hear it at some point.
Probably.
And if you take everything here into account, she was well deserving of it. So that's the amazing Kate Winslet. Now, in the last episode, our first episode, we were talking about Titanic. I mentioned that the Titanic set had a sinking. What's interesting is that I barely found anything about this. I just kind of saw a mention of it somewhere, so I just started looking for information about the ship sinking, the set ship sinking. And in February 1997, an independent contractor called Hogg Engineers were called to the movie set of the feature film Titanic. Ironically, the 90% scale movie set sank, in quotes, near the end of filming. The overall model was a steel frame mostly on dry land that was clad with metal panels to look like a ship. To simulate sinking, the bow was progressively tilted into a pool of water by lifting the entire frame and cutting the column shorter. For the final scenes, the bow section was a separate set supported by a series of hydraulically actuated cables and buoyant foam blocks to make the set appear to float while it was being actuated with the cables. The flotation blocks could not support the weight. Unfortunately, a series of modifications needed to improve realism resulted in support failures that let the set sink, interrupted filming, left expensive actors and crews idle, and impacted actor confidence in the structure. On their own website, as kind of like a testimonial to the kind of stuff they do, is where I got this information. Justin, if you can read.
Sure.
You can't read.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, that was an
you
ability
read it.
question.
You can read. That's a question. Yeah.
This is per Hog Global. The problem with the set at the time we arrived was that they weren't really certain what had occurred. All they knew was that it was suspended on cables and flotation blocks at the time that it had partially collapsed, said David Teasdale, Hog Principal Engineer and VP of Engineering Sciences. We had to wait a day while the tank was drained, and we took that time to learn the structure, review plans, talk to the designers and users, and tour some of the other sets where the filming continued. The set had broken and partially sank once earlier, and different groups had different concerns about why. Once the tank was drained, we observed that one support leg had broken loose, kicked out, and allowed the set of the ship to tilt into the pit of water. In essence, more flotation blocks were called for to improve the buoyant look during filming, and there was only so much room under the set to fit them in. When the extra blocks were added, the cross braces had to be moved higher on the columns. The structural contractor had completed his work and left the site, so he subcontracted a local welding crew to do the work from an engineer's plan. One main support leg had pulled loose due to a bad weld, and the bad weld was one of many. The solution was pretty simple. First and foremost, the repair needed to be implemented quickly because time was money. Time is money. And secondly, since it had failed once before, we needed to restore trust in the set. Therefore, Hog engineers were included in the repair oversight.
So who originally welded this thing together then?
I want to tread lightly here because we're going to enter a lot of stereotypes when I say Mexican construction labor. But technically, they would have hired local people mixed in with, skill positions that they brought, to the set. And kind of like when we have made a light jest of our camera brethren, who we all love, there's a lot of stereotypes in our departments. I know, guys. We love you, Penny. So
We do love you, Penny.
We love Penny. Yeah. That's about it.
I have a few more on my list.
no,
But,
you can definitely.
There's a few.
I can get up to 7, but
I can get higher than that, actually. But
to name that tune.
yeah.
But in our stereotypes and stuff, we also make jabs at like our construction departments. Like you don't want them to build a real house. Kind of jokes. But the reality is that everyone is skilled, everyone is talented. These are the realities. They're all just jokes. But we are in a situation where I don't know what kind of labor was hired.
I was
for
just
this.
curious if it were
is
these engineers to begin with, or if it was like a set crew.
I think it's safe to say at least one bad welder was hired.
Well, at least one. If there were multiple bad welds,
Right.
I mean,
But I
know how to weld, but I'm not gonna weld a ship together.
well, and this is a unique build. So you're bringing people in to do something that is probably unprecedented for a lot of the stuff that they're used to doing. There's a lot of possibilities to point A from point A to point B.
I was just curious if
I
you
have something
A
to
very good
reveal.
question.
looked into that.
I used to weld ships. I did a long
Really?
time ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, I used to weld these.
Was it you?
I was a good welder.
I was like, you would have been like 12 at the time.
Child labor.
Yeah, no.
In Mexico.
We built these giant pontoons that they would put treads on, and they call them marsh buggies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they put like excavators on them, and they're the excavators that go into the swamps and things like that.
Yeah, no, I've got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
They were wedding presents.
$850,000 a piece, something like that.
That's why he only has 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday I take the day off.
Yes, right.
So anyway, Justin, as you were saying,
the process. I know this ship wasn't meant to float or anything, but there was
It
mini
was, though,
welders.
right? It
that
was.
would-
It did float. It was in the float.
No.
Oh, this. Wait, what?
The set ship is. I mean, it's on hydraulics and other support beams and
It
everything,
was
so
made
that
to
it can.
look to float.
Yeah, so it can tilt and do those kind of things.
But it still has to be somewhat seaworthy.
No,
No.
not at all.
So how did it sink? If it was the hydraulics.
Because the supports broke.
Got it.
Yes, that's why sink is in quotes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it more broke into the water.
If anybody's a dum-dum like me, you're welcome for me,
And so, okay.
I don't get it either, but
Okay.
it's fine.
I get it now.
But wait, what company was that for? This is
It was
the
this
whole
company
other
called
side.
Wilco, out in
The
Lafayette.
band? I had no idea.
Yeah.
that they
I
were
know,
Jeff
they
Tweedy.
diversify.
Man, talk about a man about
Yeah,
town.
they also built marsh buggies.
So
that
are
was
you-
how they got started, and then they started playing music.
started
after
playing.
that.
it. So are
Yeah.
you saying the song "Impossible Germany" is about bad welds?
Yeah.
That's fucking
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
man.
I thought it was "I'm the Man That Loves You."
We
but that
learned
makes
so
more
much
sense,
on
I
this
guess.
podcast.
I know.
It is wild.
It is wild.
So this is going to be a callback to Justin when you were talking about answering the Craigslist ad. Soldering was one of the skills I believe that
Yeah,
you needed.
right.
So-
and I had
Like mini welding.
Right, which is mini welding. So
Yes.
now I'm curious. Did you solder first or did you weld first? Which came first?
I was a welder first.
Welder first. All right.
Yeah.
So soldering came natural.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never really thought about soldering as just baby welding.
I've
It
not
is.
really done a lot of
Yeah.
soldering, but
It's really kind of cute now.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't you want to get a
a little
little
different, but-
solder?
Well,
Yeah.
the
It's cute.
478 certification class is called baby welding.
Is that right? So my
Sign up before there's no room, folks.
right.
my theory, because we don't want to cast dispersions on any of our Mexican brethren,
Absolutely
is
not.
that one welder, he just forgot his welding mask that day.
Yeah.
And so the only
Went
thing
blind?
that he could do was he just had to close his eyes and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And it
Which
just
you
didn't
do.
work out.
Yeah, you have to do that sometimes. Or
Don't tell me that. I don't want to know that.
or he went blind looking at
Right.
the
Right.
the welding arc for
Exactly.
too
Oh,
long.
that's sad. You should have started with baby welding.
This is why we
Yeah.
need unions.
Exactly. Okay, so I need to find where I was. Okay, so one interesting tidbit about this fun, ironic problem that occurred is how it was not widely reported, as I was alluding to earlier, compared to so many other aspects of this gigantic project. So I think at the end you just say, luckily no one was harmed, and well, except for background people, I'm sure they were. But
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
that's a poor background.
God, they're just.
How many background were on it?
Total?
Yeah, how many background were on the show?
Oh God.
the country of Mexico.
I mean, if I had to,
Well, I mean, there were 2,224
if I had to guess,
people on the actual Titanic.
board,
so
on board.
I would think.
Souls.
Chris, this is probably a better
2,000
question for
souls.
you. I know it's a math question, but I mean, what, 400 minimum?
I mean, who knows? Because I mean, a lot of I remember like seeing this show for the first time, and I mean, you know, the visual effects, they were groundbreaking at the time, and now that I look at them, they're really not that great.
Yeah.
But they used a lot of
Don't tell Cameron.
I'm sorry, James. They used a lot of CG, for when the ship is sailing and all that. But there's certainly, I mean, a lot of scenes with actual people in the dining hall and the dancing scene and all that stuff. I mean, it wouldn't, in a show like this size, they don't care about the budget. So I'm sure that there were hundreds a day.
yeah, there had to have been hundreds and hundreds.
Hundreds a
like
day.
at least
Midge
300
also-
or 400 a day,
Yeah.
right?
Probably. For the scenes where you needed it.
Right.
Why not?
Midge also demanded that all floating bodies are real people, no dummies, no. I'm kidding.
I mean,
I buy it.
I know,
yeah.
I know,
I was
right?
like, really? Yeah, that tracks. Okay.
It's plausible. That's what's so bad about it.
So I just Googled how many background extras were in the movie. I can't find it, but I did find an article.
Okay, good talk.
I did find an article that says why only short extras were cast in Titanic. And the sub headline says the director reveals his trick to conveying the vast scale of the doomed ocean liner without spending more money. He was
all
trying
little
to
people?
make the set look bigger by hiring shorter extras.
I just want to be clear.
Interesting.
Wow.
We're shooting in Mexico, and he got little people.
I didn't see a lot of people that looked Mexican.
Mexican?
No, I didn't either.
I mean, perhaps I wasn't paying attention, or
you know what,
perhaps
they-
it doesn't matter.
They white-faced
or-
him.
I mean, unfortunately, that also is not completely
All right.
out of the question.
So let's get to my favorite part of this entire thing. I did not know about this until recently. This actually learning about this is what turned my attention onto researching Titanic. But I called this last section "Who Spiked the Puncher Chowder." So I don't know if y'all were familiar with this or not, but so during an earlier portion of the general shoot, they started in Nova Scotia, I believe, before going to Mexico. So it was supposed to be the last day of shooting in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, where about 80 crew members fell ill while exhibiting strange behavior, including James Cameron and Bill Paxton, amongst others. It was reported that Cameron shouted, quote, "There's something in me, get it out," while a conga line formed around him. And yes, you heard that correctly, a conga line.
Awesome.
Rick Courtney was a set PA at the time, who also happened to have a sailing and medic background as well. In his recount, it was supposed to be, like I mentioned, the last day of shooting when everyone broke for lunch after midnight. Heather Ray, you got that?
Well, first of all, this is clearly a disgruntled crew.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, so this guy, Rick Courtney, who was the set PA, said people started acting strange. I remember hearing on the headset that people were acting very bizarre down in the lunchroom. I was up in the production office. James Cameron, who came to me, he said, "You're a medic, right?" I go, "Yep." He said, "Well, fix me. There's something wrong with me." And Courtney went on to say that Cameron described a wide array of symptoms like hallucinations and a drunken feeling. And as more people fell ill and things quickly got out of hand, Rick described, "We had a whole bunch of people who were acting extremely bizarre, and I decided there's too many people here. This is not an isolated incident." So we activated EMS and got a bunch of ambulances.
And another crew member at the time, a set painter named Marilyn McAvoy, also recounted the experience. Justin?
Yeah, it was kind of like a very dreamy, very surreal, recalls McAvoy. Unfortunately for Marilyn, she also ate the chowder. I was still functioning. I wasn't nauseous or anything like that, but it seemed like it affected people in many, many different ways, says McAvoy. She describes a feeling like she had drank 3 beers and had a joint, but it didn't experience the flashbacks some others did. I didn't have a lot of experience with psychedelic drugs. There was some people I knew were having some really bad, really tough times. I think it was kind of a flashback-related situation.
This woman has clearly never done drugs with her
At the time.
terminology.
I think
Until
she's trying to
before
describe
this,
a
right?
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the atmosphere at the emergency room was also a bit chaotic, as dozens of patients felt varied effects of the drug. People were just really active and wanted to party and wanted to just have fun. And there's other people who really just needed to be alone, she said.
Fair.
There was a conga line. There was a wheelchair race there. This sounds awesome.
I know. I want to be working on this day playing on this day.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I remember in the morning when we finally all came down, they gave us this charcoal drink to drink. So I guess it took the toxins out of our bodies.
So, years later, even the late Bill Paxton would recount the event in a 2015 interview with Larry King, quote, "You see some people freaking out. Some people are conga dancing. Everyone well-established conga.
Yeah.
Some people are euphoric. I knew I was stoned on something pretty bad. or awesome. To this day, the mystery remains unsolved. Nova Scotia police at the time had a near impossible ability to solve the case, leaving a lot of speculation behind. The local authorities had also rationalized that PCP isn't really a local drug, so therefore it must have come from an American on the shoot.
Where was the drug czar when we needed it?
So
Oh, wait, opposite.
I wanted to say
Aw.
crack work investigation there, boys, as PCP isn't common anywhere.
Right.
Like
Like early 90s in New York City.
hard-hitting investigation by the Nova Scotia authorities. But and also reveal it was PCP. So the production had left pretty quickly after the crime had occurred, so the likely perpetrator had left with them. The dispersing of witnesses also made it difficult to interview and assess what had happened other than a conga line. We know that happened. So the Department of Health had confirmed the chowder, I believe it was a lobster chowder, by the way, had been spiked with can't ever say it, phencyclidine, a.k.a. PCP, a.k.a. Angel Dust, a.k.a. Tic Tac, Supergrass, Sherman's, Boat, Rocket Fuel, to name a few.
Dust.
Yeah, I got
Okay,
that.
you
I
got
got
Angel
Dust.
Dust. There
Yeah.
you go.
yeah. Oh, my favorite after-school special was
Helen Hunt.
Angel Dusted.
Yeah.
It was called Angel Dusted.
Yeah.
High
She
school
jumped out of the window.
high school track star that gets hooked on PCP. Oh,
No one has ever been hooked on PCP.
No.
Well,
Nobody.
when I ran track, we took PCP to do.
You ran real fast.
Nice.
So fast.
I miss
But it
after
was in
school
a conga
specials.
line.
Yeah.
I love that you remember that.
Do you guys remember Thumper, the best boy grip? He went to Atlanta at some point. I worked with him on American Horror Story. So he worked on this show, and he definitely confirmed that this did happen. And he never, I don't think that he was on it, but I mean, it was just sort of like, what was it? Was it PCP? Was it acid? Was it X? And I don't think that he ever really knew, but he said it was definitely like a disgruntled crew member.
Oh, 100%.
1,000%. He was
Clearly.
just trying to fuck him over. But I mean, like, Cameron over, that is. But
Yeah.
if a conga line is the worst thing that happens, it sounds like it was literally the best day on the show.
It really does. That's why I'm day playing that one day.
The most impressive thing is
what I'm talking
they
about.
actually returned to shooting later after everybody came down.
You're
like,
kidding.
Yeah, they didn't go home. Like they
That's
actually went back to work.
Fucking wild.
Well, the sun's down now. We gotta go.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
Lord.
Yeah. Wheelchair race. So the Department of Health in Canada did confirm through a series of beakers, I'm sure, testing that
it was
PCP.
always
Right.
beakers.
Yeah, that's right.
So y'all are going to love this. At the time of the incident, there was wide speculation as to the why part of the whole thing. A disgruntled crew member has been the long-standing guess by most, especially considering old Midge's unprofessional behavior as a screamer. But that might not be the actual answer.
It is, though.
Other guesses over the years include A, the film was already over budget even at this stage of the shoot, and this incident could have been an attempt to buy more shooting time after filing an insurance claim, thus increasing funding for the film in a roundabout way. Because of this, the investigators chose to keep the case confidential at the time. B, it was simply a prank gone wrong. Someone, quote, spiked the punch, so to speak, and not understanding quantities, doses, etc., it got out of hand. C, the lead caterer sort of had a similar opinion, insisting that, quote, that's some Hollywood shit, and they brought it to the party, end quote.
That's fair.
Clearly he's Canadian. But D, my favorite, because y'all are going to love the audacity, James Cameron offered his own opinion in an interview in 2023, where Cameron told a Canadian radio show that it might have stemmed from someone wanting to get the caterers in trouble after having an argument with them. Quote, of course, the operating theory was that I was such a psychomaniac that the perpetrator was trying to get back at me, but I reject that theory out of hand for obvious reasons.
Spoken like a true narcissist.
Where I want to ask y'all, what are the obvious reasons? I have no idea what he's talking about. So whatever the case, it's highly likely to remain an unsolved case for aforementioned reasons. So
It was a crew member. Let's just, let's just.
But I mean, I really want to know. I want to meet the guy or girl that did it and shake their hand.
Yeah.
I didn't include it in here, but there was there was a crew member that was fired a few days before for drug possession. But according to Canadian authorities, they cleared that person of having anything to do with this. So, and also it's just the fact that it's PCP. I mean, well, first of all, only an American could have brought that. But it's just, it's such a random drug. I mean, I'm not saying like one drug makes more sense than another necessarily, but the commonality of a drug would make more sense. And it's just not a common drug. But
No.
It seems like he tried to get one thing, but the dealer was out. He's like, "Hey man, can I get a bunch of cocaine?" I don't have any
but I
cocaine.
got PCP.
All I got is this PCP right now. Ah, shit.
dude,
All
you're
right,
in
I'll take
Canada. I
that.
can't get you any acid, but I can get you some PCP. They'll never guess it's us.
Canada. So like we've got some fermented maple syrup. And it'll really fuck you up. I'm telling you.
God bless the Canadians. I love them so.
I got this shit all the way from Saskatchewan. You're going to love it.
You won't believe, dude. I got this from Eskimo. It's fermented whale blubber. You're gonna trip balls.
Trip balls. So you had heard, I mean, as you were just saying, so you had heard of this.
Yeah, I mean, I remember learning that Thumper was on that show and asking him the story. And I mean,
We got to track down Thumper.
we probably shouldn't. But now this was 12 years ago. And so, but I mean, he basically, I think that it was literally like, I just asked him and he confirmed. I mean, so this was in like 2013. I mean, this was definitely like talked about. It was online. I don't know.
But he wasn't like dodgy about it. Like it was
No. I mean, like
him.
he was like,
"You're cleared, Thumper.
No,
we're not suggesting any of that."
He wasn't offering you
Let's just-
chowder.
Yeah.
well, I was buying drugs at the time. What was
It just kind of came up in conversation.
PCP to be exact.
There were some letters involved.
Angel dust.
Also, didn't know that boat is a nickname for PCP. I thought that was kind of fitting.
I didn't know that.
No
either. Look
idea.
at that.
I know.
Maybe that's why.
Hey.
Very.
It's a very astute drug user.
Exactly.
So,
I'll sink this boat. Watch.
the last thing that I wanted to bring up before winding down, this is going to speak to our why did Jack have to die door theory. So, James Cameron apparently cannot handle fan debate. So the last thing here, and it's almost guaranteed to get in Heather Ray's craw, as I wrote here, is that James Cameron got so worked up over the years at the audacity of fans to question why Jack had to die that there was plenty of room on that floating door that he paid to have tests done. This is a real thing he did.
Oh my God.
Chris, can you read?
I mean, I can read, but I want to read the riot
No,
act
you
to
can't.
James Cameron, and I can't. I have an app.
I just also want to put it in perspective that he is clear that it wasn't anybody doing it to mess with him. The PC.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just keep that in mind as Chris goes on.
While promoting Avatar, the egomaniac James Cameron. Oh, sorry. That's not what it really said, guy. But,
That's what I see. Oh no.
anywho, old Camerooni told Post Media in an interview, "We have since done a thorough forensic analysis with a hypothermia expert who reproduced the raft from the movie, and we're going to do a little special on it that comes out in February. We took 2 stunt people, both died." That's not true. That's not in there either. Everybody, you're going to have to take a grain of salt when I read this. We took 2 stunt people who were the same body mass of Kate and Leo. He's such full of shit.
He's so full of shit. I'm really like.
Also rich people problems.
Yeah. Right.
And we put sensors all over them and inside
Inside them. Butt stuff. Really?
Yeah, it was just
There's the butt stuff.
butt stuff.
There it is.
Man, you couldn't give me enough boat to make. Anyway, inside them, and we put it in ice water. Both died, and we tested to see whether they could have survived through a variety of methods. And the answer was,
Oh, what are these?
no way.
I want to know the variety of methods.
They could both have survived. Only one could survive.
Why?
Cameron further argued that Jack's death was necessary in order to strengthen the almost mythical love affair between the two. Jack needed to die. Cameron said, it's like Romeo and Juliet. It's a movie about love and sacrifice and mortality. The love is measured by the sacrifice.
Oh, fuck you. Kate made no sacrifice.
That's true. She's also a bit of a harlot, but that's another story. Maybe
Hey,
after
don't
25
judge.
years. No,
Don't
I love
judge.
it. I love it. I want
There's
to.
no judgment.
Dude, I want to go on a cruise and do it in a car. Maybe after 25 years, I won't have to deal with this anymore.
Nope.
Yes, sensitive much, Midge.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention real quick that his further argument about how Jack's death was necessary is the part we all know, and he just mansplained to everyone. Like,
Yeah, clearly he needed to die, but
we understand the
we don't buy
story.
it.
Like, I get the why
Yeah,
part.
clearly he needed to die, but
Well, he's like-
for the story.
He's
But
like, we did this crazy science thing, to prove it,
yeah, sure he did.
but that doesn't matter. It needed to happen anyway.
It's called storytelling. Anyway, I had to include that because I just thought that was amazing. And I mean, wow, hubris. So, starting to wind us up, I guess suppose that, dear friends, is where we are going to end our coverage of the behind the scenes of the making of Titanic. I did want to have a quick aside. We didn't have time to deep dive it, but I did want to mention it just because it was quite the rabbit hole to distract me. So the 1997 Titanic installment is at least the fourth movie that's Titanic specific. The very first three movies ever done about the Titanic were all German films. And most random and interesting is that during World War II, Nazi superstar, and I mean that jokingly, Joseph Goebbels was taken aback by the success of Casablanca, which carries an anti-fascist message in the story. So he and the Nazi propaganda machine made the third German installment of the Titanic, spending over $180 million in today money to make their own propaganda movie. And
Was it all three of them? Is it the total of all three of them?
no.
It's just
The two.
one.
I should clarify. The first two movies were just regular movies.
Okay.
Like the first movie actually was made not long after the actual Titanic sank. Like I think it was maybe like late teens, and then the second movie was maybe
Silent.
in the late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
A talkie.
Yeah. It was probably just a cardboard cutout. Yeah. A silent by a talkie. But anyway, there's a whole giant rabbit hole about the making of this insane movie. And I should also, spoiler alert, capitalism is what sank the Titanic. So there you go. But
Which, I don't necessarily disagree with. And the Nazi stuff I definitely disagree with, obviously. But, capitalism...
I was just curious, because I haven't seen it. Is it going to be like an editorial cartoon where the iceberg says capitalism while it collides with it? Really leave no air for question. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Maybe we'll do a full episode, a lore episode on that down the road. But I think for now, we all need to take a break from anything related to the Titanic. So let's get into some final thoughts. Where to even start with a question? I guess knowing what you know now, does that change anything as far as your opinion of the movie?
I hate it more now. I hate it even more, which I didn't think was possible. Now, let me just
Kate
set this
Winslet
up.
respect, though, goes way up.
Kate
Yeah.
Winslet is respect, for sure. And Kathy Bates.
Oh, we haven't even talked about Kathy Bates.
No, I went down a Molly Brown rabbit hole on this. So that's, yeah. But let me just put it into perspective. I saw this movie in the theaters, And my mother was on one side of me, and my boyfriend at the time was on the other side of me. And they were both crying. And I'm just laughing at them and just pissed off at this movie, basically. And I'm just like, just die already. Like, enough. Like, I've been here for 3 hours. I can't get this time back. And these assholes next to me are making it worse. So, like, yeah. And and when Jed told me we're doing this movie, I was like, I have not seen that movie in almost 30 years on purpose. And I can't believe you're making me watch this again.
Thanks a lot, Jed.
Thanks, Jed.
Well,
but I did get him.
whip.
I did get him back by giving play-by-play,
which I actually enjoyed. And when you actually mentioned about your boyfriend at the time and mother crying, and I believe I responded with something like, "So I guess it didn't work out," and if I remember correctly, you were like, "No, I hated the movie," and I was like, "Oh no, I meant like the boyfriend." You're like, "Oh no, that didn't work out either."
Oh no, actually, I just thought you meant all dudes in general didn't work out.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, and then you're like, "Oh no, just that one." I'm like, "Oh yeah, definitely." But yeah, other thing too, yeah.
Because I would imagine if you sit 3 hours through anything and you're having not the visceral reaction that your partner is having, that there's probably time to question some things. Like,
I lost a lot of respect for him that day. I will say that.
If there's ever a movie, this is like a 20-something year too late PSA, but if there's ever a movie that needed an intermission, it was Titanic.
Oh my God. I wouldn't have come back. That's why they didn't have an intermission.
I saw a packed theater. It was a packed theater, and me and my friends sat on the front row far left, and this is right before stadium seating was a common thing. So even in a healthy, like, 18-year-old version of myself, I walked out of the theater like, my neck. I mean, it was such a painful way to watch a movie that left such a bad taste in my mouth. And I can still appreciate the movie for what it is, scale-wise and all these kind of things, but
no, the cinematography, stunning.
Yeah, costumes, like you mentioned.
Amazing.
Yeah. Performances are fine.
Yeah,
there's
fine.
nothing.
The story just sucks.
Billy Zane did a great job of making us hate him.
Oh my God, I hate him so much.
But that's good acting.
I know, but God, I hated him.
You should listen to your friend Billy Zane.
Yep. Incidentally, Billy Zane is Justin's favorite actor of all time.
Yeah.
I am really mad we didn't get to see him actually die on screen. I was waiting. And
Yes.
as I'm texting Jed throughout, I was like, wait a minute, did I just miss him die? Wait, I got to rewind it. And I was like, nope, didn't die. And then he
Still
never
doesn't
dies.
die. No.
I mean, he dies,
he
but
dies
not
in-
on camera.
in
I wanted
verbal
to
mention.
see.
Yeah.
I needed to see it. I need
Yeah.
the visceral, I needed to see it.
And there's a lot
For
more.
closure.
There's so much more like little trivia stuff that I left out. Like the guy that is referred to as Propeller Guy that takes the big fall and
It's the propeller.
a few times,
Yeah.
little clickety clack, spinny spin.
Yep.
That guy was apparently jokingly modeled off of John Landau, the producer, and it was like, so what's the joke here? Ha, I just killed off the producer. Like, I didn't quite understand the humor part of the inside of that, but I guess it's something James Cameron would have to explain.
I mean,
It was Landau's idea.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the CG guys got some of the clam chowder. I don't know what they're doing it.
Well, one of the things I read.
Purposely, yeah.
Food for thought, pun intended, I guess. But one of the things that I had read, I think it was one of the 5 Collider articles, but they were speculating that is this how Avatar, the impetus for Avatar, because James Cameron had a hallucinating trip and then came up with the idea that there would be these beings that can fly on these, things, and then it's like they're using their hair to jack in.
And all the
essentially to
hypothermia with everybody blue from the hypothermia.
Yeah.
It all,
There you
it's
go.
like your dream.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Peanuts.
Peanuts.
Yeah.
The answer is peanuts. But yeah, any other
Did you know that
thoughts?
the woman who played Old Rose was actually a survivor of the Titanic?
I knew
Oh,
that.
that's why she would. Okay.
No.
That was real Rose.
Are you
yeah.
serious? No.
Well, there isn't a real.
Yeah.
She was.
was
She
the
was.
real
I did know she was an actual survivor, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that.
What? Yep.
Okay.
But I do also want to, and this was the first thing that I mentioned to Jed in my 3-hour long text exchange with him, is that Rose was 16 in this movie, if you do the math.
Yeah, she did the math.
Oh.
Yeah. because she was, what was it? She was 84 when, or it was 84 years.
Yeah, and carry the one.
I mean,
It was 84 years. She died, and
that checks. It's Leo.
Minus
right?
the second.
yeah, because it's supposed to be in real time, right? It's supposed to be like
So theoretically.
it's supposed to be in 1997.
Only
that
9 years
defined
younger
it, right?
than his threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a young guy then.
I know
too.
things just
Yeah.
never change.
So it's it kind of balanced out there.
Things never
Makes
change.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was just like, ew.
Yeah. So I thought this movie sucked. And part of that is that I'm just kind of a contrarian asshole. If people really love a thing, then I'm like trying to poke holes in it. It's a personal problem, guys. I'm working on it. But I saw
One of those.
So, but like this movie, right? So it came out in 1997, and the visual effects were groundbreaking, and it was supposed to be like the scale of it was fucking incredible, and it was supposed to be, no matter what you thought of the story, at least visually was stunning.
It was made with unobtainium too.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But I saw this movie for the first time on an airplane,
Oh God.
and so my screen
An airship.
was like it was like
took a
4
Zeppelin.
inches. Yeah. So
You're afraid you were gonna sink?
I took the Zeppelin from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and on that Nazi vessel, they
You
had,
punched a guy because he didn't have a ticket.
I totally did, and because that's what you do in Germany during the war. The World War of II, which was a long time ago.
Right.
It's like literally 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the whole, like, all the spectacle was lost. Like, it was just you couldn't see shit because it was on the tiny little screen. And so all you had to go on was the story. And I was like, what fucking, like, 4th grader wrote this shit? Like, what is this?
See,
And like,
the story is garbage.
I am kind of contrarian, but like when you take away the visual aspect of the movie, I just thought that yes, it sucked.
Agreed.
And
Yeah, visually
even-
it's stunning.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything else.
I mean, I didn't put it in here, but where the numbers don't lie is how much it made. So
Yeah, no.
that's,
I mean,
that's where we
well,
can't. That's
there's
where
no
we can't.
accounting for taste though either.
I mean,
so
just
I
saying.
mean,
Yep, that's true.
you know,
McDonald's
over
is the-
half of the country has less than a 6th grade reading
Because
level. So
going, to make a full circle back to the beginning and how he loves to go over budget. This is a $200-something million movie that made over $1 billion. So
That's pretty good return on your investment.
yeah. So
But-
at the end of the day, it's like jokes on us.
But
Midge.
well, jokes on fucking James Cameron, because even on the fucking 2-inch screen, James Cameron, I could clearly tell that the door was big enough for both of them.
it took up the whole tiny screen.
So you can fucking suck it.
Yeah.
You know what was
suck it
weird
when
is
you're
the way she
testing.
was lying on it with all of her arms and legs out like a starfish, really eating up space on it. I thought that was
Yeah.
rude.
Yeah.
It was just rude.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and he saves her like 20 times.
well, remember there was
in that movie.
There's that moment where Jack's going like, "Hey, can
He
I get
should've
up
just
there?" And
let
she's
her
like, "No
jump
room."
the first
no
time,
room.
and he probably would have survived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So there you go.
Best way to watch this movie is to get the 2-piece VHS set and throw away the first one.
And just watch the
Just watch the
devastation.
second one.
Okay, I do want to ask. Having said that, none of us are necessarily a fan of this. Favorite moment in the movie. I'll go first.
Propeller guy.
I'll go first. When the the 3rd class people are behind the gate and they finally break it down, the one guy who is one of Leo's friends like comes by, and as he passes the dude that was keeping him back, punches him out. Like, just punches him as he's running. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
That's absolutely necessary.
Why is it not the second class? Just asking. Anyway.
Because that would be
Did they-
stupid.
Do they have a second? Is that a thing?
No,
Second?
No, just we don't math too good.
Oh, math.
I ain't too good with numbers.
Can't get up to 3. You have to go second.
I did second to
1, 2, second 2,
Banana.
11.
Cuisinart, and there it is.
Do you have a favorite propeller guy?
I mean, I was just throwing that out
When
there.
it was over?
When it said the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
the end
fair,
credits.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my second favorite part,
Yeah.
honestly. But I do want to
Billy
just touch
Zane.
on
Kathy Bates just being present.
because she's amazing,
Yeah.
first of all, as a person and as an actor. Like,
Yep.
incredible.
She is.
And I did go down, like, as I said, a little Molly Brown rabbit hole. And she married for love, even though she was looking for a rich man, right? Mm-hmm. Ends up marrying this poor dude. And he becomes this he's a self-taught engineer, and he is in mining and like engineers this thing, and they give him stock options and a seat on the board and becomes like loaded, right? And then she becomes like her father was an abolitionist, by the way, first of all. She comes from good stock. So and then she was a suffragette. She worked with the Red Cross, and she ran for before the women even had the vote. She ran for Congress, I think. But she was awesome.
Wait.
The unsinkable Molly Brown. I need to see the. I'm not.
When
a
did
musical.
she start volunteering at the nursing home where she meets the?
When does she become Tawanda? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I believe it was shortly thereafter.
Oh, okay.
Yes, shortly there when she, got to live every moment to the fullest in your life, and it's basically a sequel. To
That's
the
why her book is called Secrets in the Sauce. That is her autobiography.
Ah, okay,
Yes. Molly Brown.
yeah, yes, Molly Brown
I thought the secret was the PCP and the,
and the chowder.
and the chowder.
Chowder.
That's the secret sauce.
Yeah, that is the secret sauce.
All right. On that note, I got no segue. Zoe's going to finish this out.
Thanks, Zoe.
Appreciate it, Zoe. Tell us what the Titanic was like underneath the ocean.
Do you like what we're doing here? Do you have thoughts, comments, questions? Maybe you have an idea or suggestion for topics you want to hear about? Well, you can find us on the intrawebs. You can email us at filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the social medias, Instagram being Film Folklore Podcast. We have a Facebook group called Film Folklore, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, @The Film Folk. And yeah, thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, everybody.